This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Less is More Sports Talk podcast. I'm Matt McClellan, and I am wearing the tie of integrity because we need to have a talk with Les today because, buddy, what's wrong? We got to talk about all these Sam Ellinger takes. Where are they coming from? Is Sam Ellinger in the room with you right now?
Actually, he is.
Asking you to do this? Is he holding Bean prisoner? Because we got to get to the bottom of this, man. Are you John Wicking for Sam Ellinger because he's kidnapped your precious dog, and this is what we're stuck with?
First of all, Emperor Bean would never be held hostage to Sam Ellinger. Let's not. Yeah, as much as I love Sam Ellinger, Emperor Bean reigns supreme over anything. So let's get that out of the way. But obviously, it's only crazy until it actually happens. So the reason I say that is you got to think a lot of what we do on this podcast. We either validate or unvalidate the media narratives. And sometimes that requires us to make some pretty crazy predictions along the way. And I know it sounds crazy, but if you dive into each video, can you tell me where I go completely off the deep end?
The premise.
The premise of which premise?
All of them, Les.
All of them?
Yes. The fans are worried about you. I'm worried about you. We're going to send you on a one-way trip to a ranch in California where you can ride horses and think about all these takes that you've made about Sam Ellinger. And maybe you'll finally be free of his influence because, Les, you got to work on you. You can't focus on Sam Ellinger 24/7. You've got to do you. And I'm just saying that as a Dr. Phil impersonation that everyone's going to make fun of. But you've got to work on yourself before you can make takes about Sam Ellinger. Because maybe Sam Ellinger represents the hole in your soul. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
I'm going to low-key actually take you up on that just so I can go off to California somewhere and ride horses for a week and get away from society. That would actually sound low-key lit as hell. But anyways.
Can you ride a horse?
Yes.
We got to answer this question for the people, Les.
Yes, I can ride a horse.
You can ride a horse? Really?
Yes. Yes. Anybody can ride a horse.
Well, you got to learn to ride a horse. Like, I can't swim. I never learned to swim.
You never learned how to swim? I can teach you how to swim.
No, I know.
You get me through this. You get me through this Sam Ellinger phase, and I'll teach you how to swim.
Folks, he's gonna throw me in the Ohio River, and I will drown. Goodbye.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, sink or swim. Bye. That's how I was taught.
Now you're admitting to homicide. Wow, or premeditated.
No, it's just how I was taught. Sink or swim.
You help a guy with a podcast for a year and a half, and he throws you in the Ohio River, the most polluted river in the country. And just watches you go. Next thing you know, you're in the Mississippi and you're drowning. And God, Les, come on.
Yeah, thanks for being my host. Here you go. Bye.
Just drops me in there. Maybe it'll be like Moses. Maybe I'll like find some kind of like sacred place where I'm supposed to be or something. But
maybe the power of the bedroom of nerds will make you part the Ohio River.
Become Aquaman of the Ohio River. I'm just summoning driftwood and empty beer bottles instead of fish.
Right. So much pollution. I think honestly, we're going to start you off in a little pool. You know, I have a pool at my condo. We'll just start you off there. It is cleaned. There's no pollution in it.
That sounds nice. If you got a whirlpool, I'm in. If you got a whirlpool, I'm in.
Oh, it doesn't have a whirlpool, but you can touch.
Forget the tie of integrity. I'm going to the pool.
Let's go. You know, we might as well just cancel the episode now and just go to the pool. It's open right now.
All right, that's it for everybody. Everybody, enjoy your day. We're going to the pool. Have a nice one. Dallas Cowboys are disaster waiting to happen. Nebraska football, what the hell are you thinking? Bye, everybody.
Give them about 5, 4, 3. Patiently waiting for a track to explode on.
I'm not going to do it because you're anticipating it.
I'm not going to do what?
I'm not going to come back on screen, Les.
Oh, I'm just going to hear you the whole time?
Yeah, I'm just going to do this. I'm at the pool now.
Okay. Well, anyway,
right.
So
Let's give the people what they actually came for, okay?
So yes, let's give the people what we actually came for today. As always, great introduction by Matt, but welcome to another episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. As some of you may know, I have made some pretty out there takes. But honestly, let me ask you all this question though. If Matt and I got on here and just started talking about Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, no, pretty sure most of you all would agree with that. You don't need
Plus,
me
we
to
already
validate
did
that. If I got on here and said Kevin Durant is a good basketball player, pretty sure everyone can agree with that. What we like to do here at Less is More Sports is everybody's on media, whether it's social media, whether it's they watch television. We all hear these narratives going on back and forth about everything going on in the world of sports. Different narratives are developed about different players and teams and personnel, and we either validate that or we don't validate that. And along the way, we almost create our own narratives that are almost fun. So again, as much as Matt and I like to kid about how out there some of my takes have been, if you actually go back and watch the video, I challenge you all to actually see how crazy they actually are. Because we'll start with, I know the one that's gotten the most out there crazy. And Matt, you know exactly which one I'm going to go with first. The Sam Ehlinger is the next Tom Brady video. If you all actually watch the video. So as we all know, after coming out of retirement, Tom Brady is closer to the end than he is the beginning. And you all know as well as we do here at Less is More Sports that the day he actually does retire and it is official and he does not end up coming back, we're all going to be talking about who is going to be the next Tom Brady. We did it with Jordan. We did it with Gretzky. We're going to do it with LeBron, and we're going to do it with Brady. So I took a comment from Colts owner Jim Irsay, where he's talked about how you're always looking for the next Montana and Brady. And I spun that into a narrative because if you actually look at it, Sam and Brady do have a lot in common. Both 6th-round draft picks from big-time football programs who don't really have the best NFL arms, and I say that with major bunny ears, but they excel in leadership and grit. And obviously, I don't want to put the pressure on Sam to be Tom Brady. That is the big one. I don't. But given the statements that were given and the narratives that were made through the process, it is worth noting how well Sam has played in preseason, how much he has improved. And, what if? It's only crazy until it actually happens. Cincinnati going to the college football playoff, one of the biggest predictions we made on this show, was crazy until it happened. So, and besides, you all as fans, I know you all love to hear this stuff because that's what gets you all talking. If I get here and say, oh, Sam Ehlinger, 6th-round draft pick, will probably never play, you'll be like, yeah, probably could have told you that. That's all I got for the first one. Matt, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, not really. I mean, football, as with any sport, really, is a game that's based on myth. It's a game that's based on potential and legends, and we really have no say in who becomes legendary and who doesn't, but it's fun to speculate.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone since the dawn of time has speculated, and for every success story, there's a lot of failure, and we seemingly love to lap up the failure more than we do love the success. I mean, look at Brian Bosworth and all those millions of documentaries about like other quarterbacks that came before Tom Brady and stuff like that. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun with like being out there. Because if you're not out there, you're not really doing you're not you got to focus on the myth making of sports.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that involves creating something in your own head. And that's part of the fun of doing, I guess, kind of what we and everybody on First Take and everybody on Fox Sports and everybody on like a Pat McAfee network does. You have to have something in your head that keeps you going because if you focus on cold hard reality in sports, it's going to get boring pretty quickly because it's fun to think about Sam Ehlinger, but if you just think, like you said, we just focus on the truth of the matter, which is a 6th-round pick on a team with 2 guys who have been to the Super Bowl, who one of whom won the Super Bowl. He's probably not going to play much. It's no fun. It's boring. It's just like here's 38-year-old Matt Ryan throwing the football. But if we have some fun with it, like you are having fun with it, you can start a conversation, and that's part of the fun of what you're doing. Because I mean, I know that the Lamar Jackson video that got some pop. I don't know how this if the Tom Brady video's been getting any pop because it did catch me off guard as being kind of ludicrous. Not gonna lie. But I mean, that's part of the fun of it. You've got to create your own narrative in your head so you can have some fun with it. And you never know what kind of dialogue you're going to end up starting about it. Because in sports, myths and bad takes are what makes up half the fun.
Hmm.
Or playing a character. Like that's why First Take is so popular, is because the guys on there, although they are talented sports writers, they are very talented commentators. They play into angles, they play a character, especially Stephen A. Smith's like cowboy hatred. I mean, that stuff's funny. That's just funny. It kind of gets old after a while, but it's funny. You forget
Hmm.
you actually forget kind of that you're watching a person who actually has a degree in journalism, who's worked their butt off to get up through the ranks, who's covered actual sporting events that, you and I will never see because of where we are. And you forget that. You forget that because you're so lost in the character they're playing that you forget exactly what you're watching First Take for, which is sports. You're just kind of like, oh man, Stephen A. Smith is going to antagonize Michael Irvin about the disaster waiting to happen, and they're both going to scream at each other. It's going to be hilarious. Or Skip Bayless is going to say something outrageous about Tim Tebow, and Shannon Sharp's just going to go skip like he always does, and you're going to laugh.
Skip.
Exactly. That's part of the fun of it.
Hmm.
You forget you've got to create your own narrative in your head, and you've almost got to create like a personification of yourself, a larger than life kind of angle. And for you, I guess that's loving Sam Ellinger too much.
I
And for
think that
me,
was given to me, given with the Sam Ellinger, it was better than Lamar Jackson video, because I do want to clarify on that next, only because you brought it up. I do want to clarify on that next. And if you actually go out and watch the video, um, I don't actually say that Sam Ellinger is better than Lamar Jackson. And the reason
no,
I say the reason like that whole how that all transpired, how that all came to be is, I'm as so a lot of you all know, outside of the podcast, I'm a FedEx delivery driver. I spend hours and hours on the road with no one to talk to but myself, which I know gets crazy lonely. And if you don't keep your mind rolling, you'll go insane. But
oh
I
yeah,
was just sitting in break one day thinking about a take that I like to do midweek before Matt and I hop onto the podcast. And it's kind of a hot take that would kind of prep you all for our college football preview. So I got to thinking, and it dawned on me of how little respect Sam Ellinger's career got at Texas for how good of a player that he actually was. So for me, it was an easy connection to make because I on my break compared the numbers, compared the accolades between Lamar Jackson and Sam Ellinger. And I know a lot of y'all are wondering, why did I pick Lamar Jackson? Because, well, as Matt mentioned about character playing, I am also on this podcast referred to as a Lamar Jackson hater. Someone who absolutely can't stand Lamar Jackson, even though that is not true. I think Lamar is a fantastic human being. I just don't like the stands. That's been my angle from day one. It's the Lamar stands that I absolutely cannot stand. I don't even know what I did there, but sounded cool. But so I compared the numbers, and knowing that here locally, here in Louisville, Lamar is a very well-respected player. He had a great career at Louisville, won a Heisman Trophy, was drafted in the first round. Most people are going to sit here and talk about how much better he was in college than Sam Ellinger because obviously NFL teams thought the same thing. But comparing a player that I'm considered a hater of, and then having a player play for one of my teams, the Texas Longhorns, it was almost like a perfect fit. I can, give validation and kind of put in perspective how good his career is by comparing it to a player that we all know was a great player.
that's fine because college football, especially like with the quarterback position, is just absolutely bonkers. Because if I could get into something that I remember being a big fan of, is I thought Colt Brennan. I thought he was the shit, man, back in the day.
He was.
Playing,
May
throwing the
he
ball.
rest in peace, but he was the shit at
Yeah.
Hawaii.
I really thought he was going to be like the greatest pro quarterback of all time, and I thought that, and then nothing happened.
No, I
I mean,
disagree with that. I disagreed with that because I looked at like the throws he was making in college, and I knew they weren't NFL throws. A lot of it they specialize in the bubble screens and the halfback screens, and he didn't really.
Well, I'm a little bit younger than you, so I was
That's
just
true.
excited. I was just excited to watch football go through air and get caught.
That's true.
Football.
That's true.
I was just like, I had no idea what a 4-3 was, a 3-4, a bubble zone. I was just like, points. I'm like, scoring.
No, I
So,
mean,
yeah, I thought it was
sometimes
gonna
we
be.
get like, no, I'm sorry, but no, go ahead, sir.
Oh no, no, I was just gonna finish up. What I was, blah, blah, blah. What I was trying to say is that like quarterbacks, especially in college, are it's just coming out. It's impossible. You know which ones are good usually. You know which ones are mediocre usually. But the numbers are always so inflated that it's just fun to compare and contrast when it gets to that point. Because I mean, you know generally which guys are going to be NFL successes, and there are a few busts in the top of the round. I mean, look at Zach Wilson. That's right, I said it. And it's just it's fun, is what it is. It's just a fun little comparison to do that gets people going because college numbers are just so insane that it doesn't matter how you cut it. Someone's going to look like an All Pro in the Big 12, regardless of how they're playing.
Wait. Pause. Are you actually making the prediction that Zach Wilson is going to be a bust?
Yeah,
Ooh, I like it. See, Matt's
yeah.
getting his creative takes in there.
Look, man, we've already thrown a towel in on Sam Darnold. It can't be that much longer
Yeah.
for him either. It's especially with the way the Jets' offensive line is slowly disintegrating, and it's the Jets.
So you're talking about, keep in mind here, we're talking about Zach Wilson, who is now becoming like a men's pop culture icon right now. You're going to predict as a bust.
He can be a men's pop culture icon all he wants. It doesn't mean he's a good quarterback. Tim
Oh, I
Tebow was a
like it.
pop culture. Tim Tebow was a pop culture icon. He wasn't a good quarterback.
That's a fair point.
Let me think. Matt Leinart wasn't a good pro quarterback. He's a male icon now for fashion and his college football takes. You
Hey,
don't have to be a
Matt Leinart. I thought now that is a quarterback I'm very surprised did not make it in the NFL.
yeah. See, I didn't. I was too young to register with that because everyone's like, "Don't you remember David Carr?" It's like I was in kindergarten.
I'm too young
No,
to remember David Carr at Fresno State. Like, I mean, I caught like the tail end of his career at Fresno State. Like, no, yeah, the tail end of it. Like, maybe like his last game is as far as like tail end. But like Matt Leinart, that you talk about a quarterback that was it just looked like it had had the size, the arm. But it also goes to show that as much as we look at the outside, the physical appearance of a quarterback and how much we evaluate, it's 90% of playing quarterback is up here, is in your brain.
Yeah.
That is something that you and me and anybody who is not around any of these guys will ever be able to know unless like we're around these people. So going back, I'm going to switch back to like my Ellinger's the next Tom Brady thing. Nobody knew Tom Brady would turn out the way he did. And if you did, you're lying. He was a great comeback story at Michigan, the comeback kid, won an Orange Bowl, whatever it was, went out, made the speech. It's great way to go out as a fifth-year senior, whatever it was. But I mean, this guy went all the way to the 6th round, pick 198 for a reason. He was not expected to even start at all, like even get much playing time in the NFL, let alone go on to be the greatest quarterback of all time. So for me to speculate for Ehlinger, it was probably if people would have predicted, hey, this guy's going to go on to be the greatest quarterback ever, they would have been thrown into Arkham right away.
Yeah, Arkham. Everything we know is Batman. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
but yeah, I mean, it's true.
Everything's
You're
a pop
right.
culture reference, right?
Life is a pop culture reference, but we just don't get the joke. That got too deep. I'm sorry, but you're totally right. I mean, that's just how it is. You know, we act like we can predict the future. We act like we know who's going to be a surefire pro, and there are always going to be misses, and there are always going to be surprise hits. And the people who make the surprise hits will be praised, and the people who make the big misses will be fired. And that's just how it goes in that kind of level. But that's the advantage you have when you're just doing this for fun, or when you're in or when you're doing it for like sports journalism reasons. You can say stuff like this, but you're not the GM. They're not going to fire you. You're not making final roster decisions.
No.
You can have fun with it. You might as well embrace you. The best kind of players are the ones that like the fan base embraces. I'm just going to say that. You may not be like you may not be an all pro. You may not be the MVP of the league. But if fans love you and you're a professional athlete, it's a really good gig.
Mm-hmm. You and I are in the entertainment business right now with our podcast. We entertain fans, but we also inform them of takes, and we inform them a little bit about media and how the media works, and we validate narratives or unvalidate narratives. That's the business we're in.
You call this entertainment?
I thought so. I mean, I'm entertained. I don't know about you.
Oh, I thought I was entertaining. I I just thought we were here. I couldn't believe you were recording these when you told me about it. I didn't know we had a podcast till last week.
So wait, you mean to tell me that we recorded over 50 episodes before you actually knew we were recording?
No less, I'm joking.
I know.
Oh, okay. You played that so well. I was like, is he being serious right now, or can he tell I'm joking?
No, I
No,
definitely can tell you're joking.
I really don't know why. I mean, I guess that it's fun, but it feels like after 50 episodes that you've talked about everything you can talk about. It's not like on a weekly basis, but it is fun.
But I mean, like, there's always going to be new narratives that we could address. There's always, because because social media, like, as much as I like to quote John Morant for saying this, if everything wasn't ran through social media, I'd delete it all, if we're being completely honest. But the reality is that everything is ran through social media, and that includes the narratives that you and I like to pick apart.
And just the stories that we like to discuss. It doesn't even have to be a narrative.
Exactly.
Without the internet, we would have never found out about Bishop Gorman and oh boy 3 a.m.
Yo, okay, low key though, that was one of the funniest moments on this show. Is like when you were picturing the Bishop Sycamore head coach going, "Who plays football at 3 a.m.? Oh boy, 3 a.m."
Just walks out into Alaska. 3 a.m. Where's
Bro,
my team?
that's still
That
one of
was
our more popular episodes, and we still get a lot of I still get a lot of like emails about that episode and talking about how entertaining it was.
What did they say? Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Yep.
Who sends less an email at 3 o'clock in the morning? Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Oh boy, got an email less about Bishop Sycamore.
Remind me to do that tonight. I'm just gonna annoy you. You've got mail. It's
plot
Matt.
twist. It's been
3
Matt
a.m.
this entire time. Matt's like made a bunch of burner email accounts.
I'm actually our only fan. I'm sorry, Les. It's me and my grandma. She's our fan club.
Do y'all just like click these videos over and over and over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a factory.
That is dedication. That is dedication.
I have a factory in Scott County. I pay like 4 kids a day to come in and go on the mouse. It's great.
Hey, I like it. You know what? Whatever gets us views.
In case you couldn't tell, folks, we're almost to, well, I guess college football season is back. NFL is in 2 weeks. College football proper starts. But before all that chaos happens, we have to get into the 2-minute drill and be structured.
I think Matt froze for a second. Matt, you there? So anyways, until Matt gets on, I'm going to talk a little bit about hot takes and kind of the art of making a hot take. So obviously everybody loves a good hot take because that's what draws attention. That's what draws the fans. So the art of a good hot take is obviously something that goes against the narrative, something that is maybe unpopular, but in a lot of ways, people say that it may not be accurate or an accurate opinion, but at the end of the day,
whatever happened, although there's really not much happened, terrible onside kick attempt, that's doing it for you. So, it's always nice. We appreciate that. I think Les is. Yep, I'm back. Do you think anybody though?
Yeah, you froze for like a good minute. Can you not hear me?
Darn it. I couldn't hear you for a minute. I did like a very nice, heartfelt take. Oh.
I'll say, yeah, I think we missed it. I actually went into like the definition of what makes a good hot take. So like basically the art of a good hot take, basically in summary, is something that goes against the narrative, but you can factually prove it at a deeper glance. So Matt, continue with your heartfelt take, because I have a feeling that is way more important than the art of a hot take.
No. I was just saying that, like in this dead period kind of between like the start of college football and the NFL and stuff, it's just nice to sometimes take a weekend where you don't have to talk about the big story and just reflect on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And especially 50 episodes with me and a bunch more with like the co-hosts who were here before me in. It's just nice that people are, along for the ride. They're just here to have some fun with us. And we don't have to take ourselves too seriously, but we like to have some fun. We like to do the occasional research, except when Walker Kessler gets traded 9 times on draft night and I say he goes to the wrong team. Oh boy. But it's just fun, we just want to tell the people before we get into another big serious season why we enjoy doing this so much and how thankful that we are that we actually have people that enjoy watching us do it.
Absolutely. Because we're not Less is More Sports without the supporters, and thank you all very much for tuning into every episode.
Yeah. Even if you were forced to by me. Les doesn't need to know
I'm so
that.
grateful. I'm still grateful. I
Oh,
mean,
okay. I'm glad you're thankful with my threatening nature, my iron
yes,
fist. But yeah, Les is totally right with this hot take thing too. I mean, it's fun just to have a hot take, but you also have to have some kind of factuality to back it up. Like I could say that Bobby Lane is the greatest quarterback of all time, and I
but
would
what
have
would
to
you base
back
it off of?
based on like the NFL championships of the 1950s,
Mhm.
But it wouldn't make much sense. But there are other things that you can say that do make more sense, and especially, and that's the advantage we have is we can make hot takes about events as they happen. Like I could say that the best running back in the league right now is Raheem Mostert because he had a good playoff run. And
Mhm.
like I can say, I have empirical evidence that he's on a team that will have better run blocking. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. Blah blah blah. And I could be totally off base, but it's still a hot take. But I could at least base it in something factual that like what I saw last season out of them.
Absolutely.
So that
And
is the
it's
fun of that's the fun of a. You can say something outrageous, and it's the advantage we have making them in the moment is that we can be totally off base, but at the time it makes sense.
exactly. And I mean, it's not like in the art of a good hot take, you don't want to just come out there and swing for the fences and say something absolutely crazy that you can't prove. I can't, there's no way that I, in good conscience, can get out here and say something like Rex Grossman is the greatest quarterback of all time. Based on what? The guy maybe had a start to like, I think it was 2005, had a great start. That was about the highlight of his career. And then I think the Bears went to one Super Bowl, lost to our
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts, but that's a story for another day. But what is a hot take that I actually don't believe is hot, and this is another take, Matt, that actually got a lot of attention, was when I made the statement that Tom Brady does not make his receivers better. And what I meant by that, you got to think about the context of how that was brought up, because this has been a narrative that I've said not only on this show, but even on the social media pages way before here recently. So it resurfaced because of the whole Julio Jones going to Tampa Bay move. Because what was the narrative about it? He had a down year with Tennessee. He's going to get rejuvenated playing with Tom Brady. And my take was no, maybe probably not. Because if you look at Tom Brady and the receivers that he's played with throughout the course of his career, none of which have actually been all but two have actually either played the same, if not better, when they have not had Tom Brady throwing them the ball. So there's no statistical evidence that Tom Brady has elevated any receiver that he's played with. That does not say, though, however, that Tom Brady can't get it done with any teammate he has, because obviously the dude's a winner, period. Dude's got 7 Super Bowls. He can get it done with whoever. But as far as this narrative that Julio Jones is going to have his career just revived in Tampa Bay, I don't buy it, because there's no evidence that Tom Brady actually elevates or makes the receivers look better than they actually are.
I'm gonna negate your evidence and just say Tom Brady black magic. That's all I have to say. You know that's gonna happen. You know it's gonna. There's dark magic around Tom Brady that he's just due. He's due, man. He's gonna make it happen.
He'll
He's
at this
he's
point, like, he just has the biggest chip on his shoulder, and like he's never actually ate it, so it just grew so big that I feel like the slightest criticism he just like answers regardless.
and he's going to hear this podcast, and like Julio Jones is going to grow 4 inches overnight somehow, get like longer arms, and
And
start
he's
catching
already a big
touchdowns.
receiver. He's already a big receiver too.
Well, he's gonna be 7 foot with an 8 foot wingspan and catch all the touchdowns because that's the one thing he couldn't do in Atlanta is catch touchdowns. So, well, he was mostly a yardage guy. I'm just saying. I remember how angry Sam Murphy got whenever he would do fantasy because Julio Jones would never catch touchdowns. He'd have like 9,000 yards and no touchdown, and Sam would just be so angry every Monday morning.
But again,
I
that's
don't know.
because Sam's not knowing the narrative, because that was Julio Jones, because in the system he was in with Atlanta, unless he broke off, he was their yardage guy. He was their chain mover. And then it was like, the flank routes with Taylor Gabriel, or who was the other receiver they had? I think Roddy White for a while, but there was do what?
I was saying Roddy White, the pride of UAB, man.
Well, Roddy White for a while, but there was another guy that pretty much caught majority of the touchdowns. And of course, Tony Gonzalez caught a lot of touchdowns in his time with Atlanta as well, too. But Julio was the chain move. So he wasn't, even though he has the prototypical size to be a red zone threat, That's just not how Atlanta used him in the offense. That's not to say that he couldn't do it, but that was his role. So that is Sam Murphy not paying attention to the narrative. So shame on you, Sam.
Oh my gosh, never. I don't know. Now he's gonna come on here and defend himself and try to get me to get involved in sports gambling again, and I don't know how to do that.
Well, he's gonna try and get all of us into gambling. That's just what he is.
I'm just gonna put all my money on somebody to win the Tour de France. There we go.
Can we get the odds of Sam Ehlinger actually being the next Tom Brady? I'll put like $10 on it.
I'll put $10 on it too. We'll just see what happens. So
Yo, we got to call Sam after the show and be like, hey, what are the I want you to put the odds of Sam Ehlinger being the next Tom Brady. I'm gonna put 10 on it right now.
He would know. He would know because he's
would.
with that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's the thing too. That's another narrative with Tom Brady is that he's just the unstoppable giant, and whatever happens with him, it's good, or Julio Jones. We're gonna overblow it because that's what we do. Because Tom Brady is a great story, and we love Tom Brady, and it's fun to make hot takes about Tom Brady because he's Tom Brady.
Well, I don't love Tom Brady. I want to throw that out there right now.
Well, you know what? Tom Brady loves you. Damn it.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't even know me.
Even if he does, Tom Brady loves everyone.
Does he? I mean, he loves his kid a little too much, but you know.
Oh my God, Les, he's a good father. Come on, we don't insult parenting skills on this show. This isn't.
You're right. That's not what we are. We are not Barstool. Oh, did I say that out loud?
Oh God, are you trying to get us sued?
Sued for what? Making a comment?
Stool Presidente is going to show up in here or something, and
he's too busy eating pizza, at different pizza parlors around the country. He ain't got time for us.
His opinions on some of those pizzas, though. He's way off base on a few of those pizza takes.
Really? What pizzas are you referring to?
Oh, he went to Bloomington once, and he tried pizza from Eric Gordon's place. I wasn't impressed, but he didn't like the one I like. So I'm very disappointed in that because my palate is very refined. Very refined. So I think we've officially hit a new low. I'm talking about pizza. Welcome to the Pizza Pod. Welcome to the Less is More Pizza Podcast.
Hey, I do like pizza, man. I've eaten a lot of pizza in my time.
Pizza is pretty good.
Pizza is great.
Then we're gonna have Pat McAfee show up because we said something about punters or something.
Ironically enough, right before we got on the show, me and Tierney are going to get dinner later on, and I was, asking her what she wanted to eat, and she said not pizza.
Well, now you know what you're not having for dinner.
Yeah, no, we're not having pizza, so there's that. But a lot of that has to do with that she actually has she can't have a lot too much gluten, so a lot of that has to do with that.
I get that.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a hot take since we're talking about Pat McAfee. The Pro Football Hall of Fame, they need to have 1 year where they do a kicker punter super committee and just induct a bunch of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's wrong that they don't induct any kickers. I know they're not cool, glamorous positions, but they still played a big difference. I mean, you got to induct some of them. Shane Leckler, Reggie Roby,
Adam Vinatieri.
Vinatieri.
Well, not a punter.
He'll get in.
Clutch.
He's clutch. He'll probably get in on his own. I'm talking about the guys who play in the 70s and 80s. I know Ray Guy's in there, but we need to get Reggie Roby, Pete Gogolak. We need to get kickers and punters in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You know who's not going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame is the punt god.
No. Oh, God. That'll be a story for another time, Les, because
no.
There are some thoughts there to be had and about how, and comparing and contrasting two situations in two different sports franchises and how awful things can get really quickly. And like I said, we'll blah, blah, blah. On a more serious show, we'll have a more developed take about that. I just want to say good for you.
I think he froze again. Matt, what is with your connection, bro? Gosh darn it. Oh, we only got 4 minutes left, dude. Well, actually, it seems that we are actually. Oh, he's back?
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. I guess big NFL shut me down for saying that punters are people too, and they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
You know,
But
that's a little
it's
conspiracy theory on its own right. We're getting shut down by big NFL.
yeah, Roger Goodell himself. But anyway, what I said before I think I faded out was good on you, Buffalo. This is why people love you, Bills. This is why we embrace the Bills Mafia and we love the Bills. You made the right decision. Good on you. We'll get into this later, but I just want to say thanks, Buffalo. Good job, Buffalo.
In honor of this move, I'm going to jump through a burning table.
Oh God. And I'll watch.
Yes, Matt will watch.
I
And
will
Matt will
watch.
tell me how stupid I am.
No, I'll just sit there and put some lighter fluid and make it really pour it on before you jump over. Just get that extra hibachi feel as you jump through the table.
So
You throw me in the Ohio.
I'm throwing you in the Ohio. You're setting me on fire.
God,
there's a narrative to be had. There is a narrative to be had here.
We actually secretly hate each other, and we're just doing this because reasons. I guess.
We are Belichick and Brady, who secretly hate each other, apparently.
Ooh, I'm younger, so I guess that means I'm Brady. So I'm gonna go join another podcast and win another Super Bowl.
You're gonna get it. Yeah, you're gonna get another award after you join another podcast. Even though you're on like 5 already.
No, I'm not. I've only done 3. I've only
done 3.
I do this one regularly. I do the President's one, and I've been on a couple like touristy podcasts. That's it.
That's it. Esley, he is a well-diversed podcast host.
I am not. I've been working on a solo project for a while, but we'll see how that goes. So
it'll probably be great because Matt does everything Matt does is great. So
very nice. Much success.
Yes, sir.
Much success. All right. Have we wasted the people's time long enough?
Yes, I think we have because we got about 2 minutes left. But no, as always, I think we've gone on. We've taught them about media and narratives enough, and I've explained my crazy rationale takes. And you even froze a couple times. And Matt, we even dressed nicely for the first time in I don't know how long.
Probably since I was a senior in college, so a pretty long time. And next week, Labor Day, we may have to skip next week, but we'll be back before you know it, and we'll be loaded with even more stories than you can handle in your tiny sports brains. There's going to be so much happening all at once.
Labor Day is a special day.
Labor Day is a special day. Except, and then you got the NFL. We'll have baseball playoffs. The World Cup is in December this year. Holy cow, there's going to be a lot to discuss. And you know where you're going to be able to find it? And you're going to be able to hear me stumble through soccer talk on the Less is More Sports podcast because go
Yay,
Wales,
narrative.
I guess.
Yay, narratives.
I'm rooting for Wales. Yeah, Wales.
And it's also my birthday on Labor Day, so.
Oh yeah, I forget that. So you're double special. You get the day off and cake.
Exactly. I'm that man. But anyways, as always, tell us what you liked and what you didn't like in the comment section below. If you be sure to like and subscribe to the Less is More Sports YouTube channel, the Less is More Sports Spotify and Anchor channels, and be sure to like Less is More Sports on all the social media platforms. And without further ado, Matt and I are out.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm putting on my tie for the end.